NASCAR just rewrote its own rulebook in the middle of a championship season, and the garage at New Hampshire Motor Speedway is still arguing about it. Officials say they finally fixed the sport's oldest complaint. But the horsepower war is back. The timing has people furious, and one eligibility change slipped through without a single announcement. The regular season ends in 1 week, and none of this is settled. Let's start with what NASCAR actually changed. On August 6th, NASCAR CEO Steve O'Donnell posted a video announcing a brand new stage break procedure, effective immediately. If a natural caution comes out with 10 or fewer laps remaining in Stage 1 or Stage 2, that stage ends right there on the spot. There is no restart, no one-lap dash to the stage line, no second yellow moments later. The caution that stopped the racing becomes the stage break itself. When the field rolls back around to the start-finish line, the leader takes the green and white checkered flag alongside the yellow. Stage points still get paid out to the top 10 cars, scored by running position at the moment the caution flew, using timing loops and video replay exactly the way NASCAR scores every other stage. This is not some Cup Series pilot program either. The procedure applies across the Cup Series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series, and it stays locked in for the remainder of the 2026 season. It debuted at Iowa Speedway, and it is governing races right now as the chase field takes shape. So why did NASCAR swing this hard in the middle of August? Point your finger directly at the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on July 26th. Both of the opening 2 stages caught a natural caution inside the closing laps. NASCAR burned more than 20 minutes under yellow around those stage endings. Kyle Larson crashed before the end of Stage 1. The field circled under caution for lap after lap. Officials threw one lonely lap of green just to complete the stage, and then the yellow came right back out for the scheduled break. Fans watched the most historic oval in American motorsport turn into a rolling parade. O'Donnell addressed the criticism head-on, telling fans, "We heard you, and we want to make a change." He called out long caution periods and a shortage of green flag racing by name. That is the honest origin story. This was not a competition committee locked in a conference room for 8 months. This was the sanctioning body reacting inside of 2 weeks. Now here is where the story takes a turn that most headlines are getting wrong. The drivers largely backed this one. Kyle Larson, 2-time Cup champion in the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet, said it stinks for everybody when a caution falls with 5 laps left in a stage, and NASCAR tries to manufacture a 1-lap shootout out of it. He pointed at the dead time that follows and argued the change should shorten how long races take without cutting a single mile off the distance. Chase Elliott, the 2020 champion, said the whole thing seems logical, and then made a sharper competitive point. Stages still exist, but ending them inside a window instead of on one exact predetermined lap makes the race feel far less fabricated. Ryan Blaney described the view from the driver's seat. The misery of knowing the caution has already killed the stage while you burn laps going nowhere. Denny Hamlin, who sits on the competition working group, said flatly that anyone wanting more green flag racing is about to get it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. called it a move the entire industry has been asking for. If you are getting real value out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button because we cover every rule change, penalty, and garage argument the moment it lands. Now let's get to the fight that actually has this sport divided, because the stage rule is not the controversy. The controversy is an aerodynamic package that debuts 1 week from now. On July 15th, NASCAR unveiled a completely reworked superspeedway package built specifically for the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Speedway on August 29th. The rear spoiler drops from 7 inches down to 4 inches, matching the height these cars already run at intermediate tracks. The tapered spacer shrinks to 27/32 of an inch, pulling horsepower down from 510 to roughly 465. NASCAR is also bolting on new spoiler braces, a redesigned spoiler deflection device, and a revised drop gear ratio. The engineering reasoning behind it is genuinely sound. Denny Hamlin and NASCAR event management president John Probst both served on the working group, and Probst said the group ran more than 10 days of simulations before settling on those numbers. Hamlin explained the actual problem from inside the cockpit. Drivers spend entire Daytona races saving fuel, knowing they have to be inside the top 4 in that final fuel window, or they are jammed in traffic with nowhere to go. Broadcaster Steve Letarte described the leader as sitting at terminal velocity, where building a run is easy and using it is nearly impossible once you hit that wall of dirty air. And that horsepower figure, 465, is exactly where the internet caught fire. A Ford Mustang GT fastback you can drive off a dealership lot makes roughly 480 horsepower. NASCAR's premier stock car at Daytona will now produce less power than the street car it is styled after. For a fan base raised on the belief that these machines should be borderline uncontrollable, that comparison landed like a right hook. Championship-winning former crew chief Cole Pearn questioned the entire philosophy, arguing that NASCAR keeps treating symptoms instead of confronting the underlying problem with the next-gen car. Now in its 5th season, the platform is still getting patched race by race. Veteran hauler Darrell Andrews went further on a recent podcast, saying NASCAR has engineered a system where engine builders and motor tuners have no incentive left to chase a faster product. Former Cup driver Jeremy Mayfield has been hammering the same point, framing every horsepower reduction as another step away from the engineering freedom that built this sport's golden era. Fans piled on about the timing too. A change reshaping stage strategy and points allocation, arriving in August with the chase weeks out, struck a lot of people as backwards. Rules are supposed to be set in February. Others raised a genuinely uncomfortable scenario, wondering aloud whether teams could exploit a conveniently timed caution to hand a teammate stage points. And then there is the change nobody announced at all. Last fall, NASCAR loosened what the garage has always called the Kyle Busch rule, the restriction limiting how many lower series races full-time Cup drivers can run. Drivers with 3 or more years of Cup experience jumped from 5 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series races to 10, and from 5 Truck Series races to 8. That same announcement stated plainly that Cup drivers remain ineligible for cutoff races, playoff races, and championship races in both series. That wording left no room for interpretation. Reporters across the sport read it the only way it could be read. Then the entry list dropped for the Team EJP 175 at New Hampshire, the Truck Series regular season finale, the race that locks in the 10-driver chase field. 3 Cup Series drivers are on it. Christopher Bell in the number 62 Halmar Friesen Racing Toyota, John Hunter Nemechek in the number 5 Tricon Garage Toyota, and Connor Zilisch in the number 71 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet. 41 trucks entered for 36 starting spots. 5 teams load up and drive home. And 3 of the entries chasing those spots belong to Cup regulars who, according to the wording NASCAR published last fall, were not supposed to be eligible for this specific race in the first place. There was no memo, no rulebook bulletin, no video from the CEO. The restriction on the regular season finale simply evaporated somewhere between the announcement and the entry list. So, where does that leave this sport heading into the biggest weekend of the regular season? The stage break procedure is genuinely popular, and it is already doing its job. The Daytona package is a real swing at fixing superspeedway racing, backed by simulation data and legitimate driver input. But NASCAR is rewriting the rules of a championship season, while that championship is actively being decided, and the sanctioning body's own published restrictions are apparently negotiable. The Coke Zero Sugar 400 on August 29th is the test. Playoff spots on the line, the regular season championship on the line, and a rules package nobody in that garage has ever raced. If it delivers the passing NASCAR promised, every one of these decisions looks brilliant. If it produces one enormous wreck, this argument gets a whole lot louder.